And secondly, this is about money. There's money in the disease, not the cure.
Today's episode, we talk the things with Donna Spence and Errol Mckellar.
So there's lots of things that are just chemical, but we're not aware, we're just not thinking because they fooled us.
Prostate cancer disproportionately affects black men.
And if I knew then what I knew now, my decisions would be different.
We talk the things right now. Talk the things, and our first guest this evening, long-time friend, and she is now involved, used to be a comedian, as I understand it, comedienne extraordinaire, and she's now turned her attention to health and well-being, which, as we're all getting older, we're in the age bracket where we need health and well-being. I mean, let's be clear on that. And tonight we talk with none other than, and I'd like to give a Shamps and Giggles warm welcome to Donna Spence. Woo!
Thank you. How are you doing, everybody? Everybody's all right?
Everybody's doing fantastic. Now, we use the technology. What we do, Donna, we put everyone on mute so we can hear you.
Right.
So that enables you to get your story out initially.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
then we unmute people, or some people have questions. We ask that they put the questions in the chat box, and then I'll ask you the question. So it prevents the too much noise going across the wires all at the same page, all at the same time. But I'm just looking at your YouTube page. And do you remember what it looks like?
I do. It's a mess. It actually needs sorting out. But yes, I see it.
Donna Spence on YouTube. It's funny. These days you can just go to Facebook. People put their whole life story on there. You've got your health and thing on Facebook, don't you?
Facebook, Instagram, kind of wherever you can get the information out to people, really. Because, you know, for us, it's the way it's delivered to us. And for me, health has always been, the reason I'm called Happy Health Emporium is because health can be happy, but we tend to think of it like, oh no, it's not, because we've been told that health is something to be scared of. So
who has told us that we should be scared of health?
Well, it's the way we react to things. You go into a doctor's surgery and automatically as you go into the doctor's surgery, you start panicking. I mean, they do it deliberately. You know, they sit there quietly, writing their notes, look over their glasses, and you're like, and you're panicking.
Okay.
And
so women's experience is different than men's experience. When I used to go to the doctor, before I walked in the room, I just about walked in the room, and he's already writing. I haven't told him what's wrong with me yet. I haven't told him what's wrong with me.
Your doctor knew you. Your doctor must have known you.
Yeah, it was a waste of time. I don't go doctor now. And we're gonna discuss that, Errol, because you know your situation is so telling. But I don't go doctor. Haven't been doctor.
Well, exactly the point. A lot of people don't go to the doctor. But the truth of the matter is, as doctors are needed, surgeons are needed. However, a doctor is a GP, a general practitioner, generally practicing on you.
Right.
That's really kind of what they are, because it's just a textbook. You could study to be a doctor, meaning without even going to you know, you could literally teach yourself, because the truth is, it's about the human body is about common sense. I mean, silly things like, for example, vegetable oil. Which vegetable gives you oil?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how they get the oil out of the vegetable. They get it out of everything. I mean, oils are good for you, but it depends on what oil.
It's chemical, isn't it? That's the whole point. It's chemical. So there's lots of things that are just chemical, but we're not aware. We're just not thinking because they fooled us. So health became such a big thing to me because they claimed my mum had Parkinson's disease, and for about 20 years, and we reversed it, and she died of natural causes.
Right, talk the Tings.
That's what really happened. What really happened was that my mum got me into health when I was about 11 and taught me how to juice and all kind of stuff. And then I remember, it was about 2005, 2006, I would say, I started to wake up tired, go to bed tired. I couldn't stop nyam, I couldn't stop nyam. Every minute I was eating and my stomach was high and I was like, what is this? And I couldn't understand it, but really, and then we found out it was fibroids, but the fibroids actually came from being on the pill.
Whoa, ladies in the building, talk the Tings.
It was from the pill, because every time, if I was going on holiday, I didn't want to have my mum, pill. If I was going somewhere, pill. So what happened was it starts to mess up with your cells, and then you start to get things like endometriosis and all, you name it, you get it. And not just women, men get things too.
Do you mind if I be a man?
Go ahead, please do.
So, because we hear the pill and a man saying, oh, you must have been sexually active, but it's not to do with that necessarily, is it?
Well, mine was.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Meaning that rather than get pregnant just like that, I wasn't out there being promiscuous. I wasn't doing that. I was in relationship, but like instead of just getting pregnant, I was on the pill. But what happens is when you're on the pill, obviously you're a man, I understand. When you're on the pill, you don't want to see that month. You want to go see your man. Yeah. Or you want to be on holiday and you don't want that to come happen to you. So you're just like, oh, let me take the pill. So every time you're taking this pill, what you're doing is your estrogen is getting lower and lower.
Right.
Yeah? And your hormones are getting out of balance. Then we start to develop things like fibroids, endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, so forth, then whatever other things that start to happen.
Forgive me for hanging on this topic a little bit.
No problem.
It's quite a deep topic, to be honest, and I'm sure a lot of the ladies in here will agree, because several friends of mine, female, have had their ovaries removed.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very common thing, cysts and the things that you're talking about, fibroids and all the rest of it. And they go to the hospital and they're cutting. Yeah. I mean, they're cutting them to pieces.
Well, they do it mainly to black women, because black women get fibroids much more than white women because of the foods that we eat. So, for example, and this is what people don't understand, it's about xenoestrogens. So, for example, we use bleach. Nobody loves bleach more than black people. Everything is a bleach for us. And yet it says on the bottle, this can kill.
Right.
But
I've had a discussion about that in the house.
Right.
Bleach, it says it on the bottle. It kills.
Right.
It kills all, remember the Domestos commercial?
That's right.
All known germs dead. And we are a big germ. That's what we are.
Right. So when you're using this, well, it's and we're using it. And we're not clocking what it's doing to us. And then we're using all these cleaning products, and the cleaning products have all these chemicals in it. You get these toxins, and these toxins are messing with our system. Then here comes cancer. Here comes every other illness you can think of that's happening, and we don't realize. And then what we do is we start going, like cancer research. Me and Errol have had conversations on this before, because I do something called Cancer Don't Let It Win, which is, again, for black men. Errol and I was talking about for black men, because obviously 1 in 4 black men get prostate. We need to change those numbers. We need to change that narrative.
Right.
And a lot of that is to do with our foods. Why is it that white people or other people get cancer different from us, get illnesses different from us? It's our food.
Culture, though, isn't it? Culture.
It's culture. So, for example, all-purpose seasoning. William, sir, what is that? What is it?
It's a mishmash of different chemicals. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Of what?
Good, yeah.
It tastes good, but it's in a plastic packet, and it's got all the salts in it. Right. And then you're putting it all on this chicken, the same chicken that has been pumped with chemicals. So you've got all this stuff going on, which is not our faults.
And
this is what happens. Yeah.
So Donna, what is your Happy Health Emporium? What is that?
So Happy Health Emporium is, I'm a health advocate. So my business is to, if say for example, you have an illness and you want to call me, we do a health consultation. And in that, I point you in the right direction. So we will sit down, do a 45-minute consultation, talking about your health and what's happening. I will get you to email me or somebody in the team, and we will then get you to vomit, as I would like to say, pour out everything from when you felt, because nobody knows your body better than you. You then go for that. We then book a time in to have that consultation. Once we've done that, we'll take it from there. Where you want to go, what program do you want to go to? I always advise, please go for a live blood test, because when you go for a blood test at the doctor's, it's dead blood. Every 30 days, you get brand new cells. They send off your blood. How do you know it's your blood? You hope it's your blood, but how do you know it's your blood?
That's all we can do, though, is hope, isn't it? I mean,
right, but hope,
trust them, you know what I mean?
but hope for us and hope for everybody else is a different thing. Yeah. If you as a black man, who's healthy, and they see, remember, everything is on our phone, so everybody knows where you're going, what you're doing. So
Tings, God.
Anything happens, they say, oh, well, you know, it's cool because, you know, he's got good kidneys. Oh yeah, and he goes to work at this time. Let's cause an accident. And please don't think this is an exaggeration. The accident happens, they take that kidney and they go and give it to Mr. Smith down the road, and he's fine, you're dead. So hope for us and hope for everybody is a different thing. It's past that now. We now have to take our health in our own hands.
You know, sometimes, like you're saying about, I mean, I often say some of the movies we watch on TV are based on things that are actually happening.
Totally right.
And then when people talk about those things in our live situation, people say, it's conspiracy theory, it's this, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah. But you know what?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Donna, so do you do referrals, or can we come to you how does it work?
So what would happen is, generally what would happen is everything is kind of linked on my Instagram bio. So you'd go through to that's just one way. But generally, you know, you can call me, you can email me and say, hey, can I book an appointment? And we make that happen. And then we would have a 45-minute consultation, either Zoom, generally Zoom or on the phone, wherever you feel comfortable, and I start from 5 o'clock in the morning. On certain days.
Just for this country. Are you doing somewhere else?
No, I'm actually kind of all over the world. So I've got some clients in California who are coming over in December. So, but the reason I do 5 in the morning is because some people are on their way to work, don't want to have the conversation with don't want to have the conversation in front of their kids, their family, or whatever. So you need to put those time in. My job, or happy
you're talking to them whilst they're driving?
No. Whatever their time is. So for example, say that's their time. They know they've got to be at work for 7. If I'm saying, here's a 5 o'clock call, I'm allowing you to call me at 5 o'clock in the morning. Let's have this discussion, because I need to make you feel comfortable. Okay.
I'm just reading a comment for you real quick. Look, Toots says, I have both fibroids and endometriosis.
Endometriosis, yeah.
Enjoying this topic means a lot to me. I've cut out gluten, wheat, and dairy, plus mainly plant-based, and feel better for it. Liz says she's thinking going vegan. Spice said she did vegan 10 days recently. Let's just talk about food and the types of food that will help women with regard to the issues that go on down there.
So again, what that caller just done is excellent. Plant-based is definitely a better way, but not just plant-based. We have to be looking at organic. It's not that you can't have butter, but you want grass-fed butter. If you are going to eat meat, make sure it's grass-fed meat. I mean, things like soy sauce has so many chemicals in it, but then you've got things like coconut aminos, so you can replace things. So that's in an answer to that. That's another thing that I actually do, which is I take people shopping. Yeah, so
show them how to eat or how to shop for food, for the right food.
Yeah, absolutely. So we take them into their supermarket, and then we take them to a health shop and show them how to shop. And then I have alkaline chefs, you know, anybody that can help you, whatever your meals are, whatever your favorite meal is, we try to come as close to that as possible for you.
And when you talk about alkaline, what's the deal with the alkaline?
So for me, alkaline just means that we are changing how you eat for your body. Like we said, you have trillions of cells in your body. They need to be alkaline. Yeah.
Right.
Because what happens is the chemicals on the cells. So if you imagine trillions of cells and they're coated, they're inflamed. Yeah. Right. They're on fire. They're inflamed. That's things like, you know, psoriasis, eczema, endometriosis, prostate cancer, you name, whatever illness there is usually inflammation behind it.
Right.
So when we change these foods that don't know our body, because think about it, the Bible says, even if you're not into God, but the Bible tells you, any Quran, Torah, whatever tells you, let my plants be your foods. We're not listening.
Right. Right.
Even the church is not listening. The church is saying, "Oh, pray for Sister Christine."
Well, it's easy to go and buy the foolishness in KFC and McDonald's, isn't it?
Right, but it's just as easy to cook.
That's
When
right.
you start, when you start taking so eating those foods, you find you actually enjoy your food, because it's like heating up food in a microwave. You taste that food and warm the food up in the oven. The food tastes much better in the oven, and it's much more filling.
Do you remember, Donna, back in the day when we were growing up, how often did we go, how often did Mum take us to the restaurant?
Oh gosh, I don't remember it at all. I don't actually remember it. I'm not saying it didn't happen, I just don't remember it. And Kentucky back then was good.
Right. Kentucky was like a eat out.
Just please add something to that, right?
Come in.
Anyone that's sitting there listening, right? I'm not a person that endorses people, right? But listen to what Donna is saying, because
Absolutely.
she's one of the handful of people that I would endorse and I refer people to, because we need this research on the food that we're putting in our body, because that is what is killing us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen, look, the doctors don't know half of what this lady knows, right?
The doctors don't care. They don't care in that way.
I appreciate you.
The problem is they don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So when people don't know, they give you the wrong information. Right? It's like when they bring their car in to get it fixed, and they tell you that the brakes ain't working when you've only got a water leak coming from it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
I found, Errol, that the reason that they don't know, I had a situation with my child, and that's the first time I realised that GP really meant general, and you always need to go to a specialist, because that's the way that we're going to pinpoint what is required.
That's right.
So Donna, we've only got a few minutes left before Errol comes in.
Yeah.
But what is like the top kind of ailments that men are coming for, and what's the top ones that women are coming for, and what has been is there any successes that you'd like to share with us to show how what people have come through your advice?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, so for men's most thing is inflammation, prostate, kidney, liver is men's thing generally. I'm happy to say that reverse. The only time people haven't been successful is when they haven't stuck to what they're supposed to do.
Correct.
Because you have to, it's a program. I can't, my job is to advise you and point you in the right direction. If you want me to take over, I can, but my thing is, we've believed the doctor, and then look what happened. So I want people to put the trust back in themselves. Right. So I've had lots of successes. I've got clients coming over, which I wish they were here to tell you themselves, but next time I will get some testimonies ready. I've had people's cancer being reversed. I've stopped people from having their actual prostate removed.
Right. Now,
so many things.
To talk a little bit on the cancer, because
I
know cancer's curable.
Thank you.
And I know from my research that when somebody actually came up with a way of curing cancer, they killed them.
That's right.
Things that they'll say it's all conspiracy.
Yeah.
There's many people that have recovered from cancer. What is the thing that enables people to recover from cancer?
Vitamin C. But high vitamin C. When people are having vitamin C, that's just one thing. Right. When you're talking about vitamin C, we want camu. Camu is 600 times more vitamin C than an orange. So if I've got somebody who's got cancer, one of my first things is Body Messiah, because it cleans the blood and purifies the blood, and vitamin C every 3 hours. So if someone's stage 4 though, I send them straight to Hungary, or I send to Mexico, where they go to the Gerson therapy. So we can do, because the amount of work you're gonna have to do here, I'm like, you know what, you're gonna spend too much money, go straight to the Gerson therapy, where they're gonna look after you straight. Then when you come back, let's deal with this.
But here, they're not gonna try and heal you, they're just gonna cut you to pieces.
Well, even if you've got, even if you have the naturopaths, like say myself and everyone else, we don't have those facilities here that you need. Right. Because one, this country is too cold, and secondly, this is about money. There's money in the disease, not the cure. Right. And that's really what it is. So it's
the pharmaceuticals that are running the show.
Exactly.
Because I went through a thing, and I lost a bit of weight, And one of the things, I was on all this medication because my health practitioner in the borough that I'm in, they just chuck out the tablets. And one thing I would advocate as well is what you're trying to say as well. Come to you, but also challenge your GP.
Totally.
Because you need to review your medication, because they're quite happy for you to sit on the medication because it's circulating the system, the economical system, and circulating everything else. So definitely. So this has been a really good talk, Donna. And if you could put your details in the chat room.
I will do. But can I just say also, that's another thing I do. We take your medication and we go through it and we show you the natural things to match that while we tell you to reduce your medication. So therefore, because everything they make is made from a natural form, but they've added chemicals, and the chemicals in there is unrefined wood, talcum powder, broken chicken bones, insects. Those are things that are in the tablets alongside their chemicals. So we take that and we say, okay, what's the natural one to this? So between that and the live blood, you know, we work that. So the success rate really is second to none. I've had people with fibromyalgia completely turn around. Fibromyalgia is something they say you can't reverse, gone. But that's really about them being ready. And I really want to make this point, that it's not about us, the naturopaths and the health advocates that do it. It's about, are you ready? It's your mindset.
Right, absolutely.
Absolutely. A couple of the comments here. Toots is saying also sanitary products are a real problem with toxins, chemicals, and plastics. It's just a sanitary ware.
Yeah.
Liz says, my nana used to heat a meal on the pan of water of fire. With a plate over the plate. Yes. Karen James says, what about high blood pressure? Can you help with that, Donna?
Yeah, well, high blood pressure, again, is about inflammation, but black seed oil is very good for that. But you also need to change your diet. I would say start having green juices in the morning, but you need things like wheatgrass, barley grass, things like that. And it depends what you're eating, because if you're eating bread and all those things, you're inflaming your body. But turn your bread to things like spelt bread, for example. You know, when you're having flour, it's white rice. You're having to wash this rice 100 times because it has starch on it. So turn to things like wild rice. It's all about changing that diet to keep your blood pressure down.
It really is everything. Well, Donna, I know the time is so short. It really.
Thank you, Donna. That's inspirational.
Excellent, Donna. Thank you very much.
If you just put your details in there
and
then
and sharing your experience and what you're doing and how you've really helped people. And I know we've talked already, so I know I'm on board with everything that you're saying. Doreth says, got rid of my microwave oven 12 years ago.
Good girl, love it.
That's a big move. So Donna, if you can use
I'll put the details in
chat here. And if you put your information in there, and then anyone wanting and needing to will be able to contact Donna accordingly and further discuss. And time moves so quick, and thank you, Plus, for keeping me on track. We're going to turn our attention now. MBE, Errol Mckellar, awarded by the Queen herself. Big man. Rap raving rap. Welcome.
Right, listen, before I start, please, I want to just remind everybody, right, that woman that just spoke, Donna Spence, right, please follow her, because, you know, she said about, she's really done my job for me, to be honest, really, because exactly what she said is exactly what needs to be done. And, you know, we keep relying on what the doctors are telling us. They're like going to a mechanic who doesn't know what's wrong with your car. Right? So please follow her advice.
Wouldn't you agree though, Eric, is that these mechanics, sometimes they know what's wrong with your car, but they deliberately do other things?
Yeah, but it's like the pharmacists. It's like the, you know, it's like those pharmacists itself, right? You go one place, they give you something for a cold. You go somewhere else, they give you something else for a cold. What Donna does, right, is they break down the whole conversation of what's going on with you as a person. So, you know, this couldn't be more important, right, than having, not myself, because I'm raising the awareness, right? What Donna is doing is actually treating the problem, right? And that's why I'm a big supporter. And I have proof of the people that I've sent to her, right, that she has cured. So it's no rubbish talk, right? If they tell me that they're giving us an MBE for saving 1 million lives, she has played a big part in those numbers.
Then it does. So now let's check this out. The Errol Mckellar Foundation.
Yes.
MBE for a decade of saving lives. How does that work?
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you my story, right? My journey with prostate cancer. It started at the end of 2010. And the reason why I tell the story the way I tell this is because men, we need to take the advice that we're getting, but more important, listen to our partners. Women are very proactive in getting their bodies checked, right? And we men need to do that. And the reason why I tell the story the way I tell it is because, you know, at the end of 2010, my wife was complaining about me snoring in my sleep. And, you know, a typical man, I said, I don't snore, everything's fine, I don't do that. She said, listen, you need to sort this snoring out because I can't sleep. So I said, well, look, if it bothers you that much, make an appointment with the doctor and I'll go. Well, she made the appointment, I went to the doctor, I sat in the reception room, I picked up a leaflet from Prostate Cancer UK, read the leaflet, you know, and like Donna's saying, 1 in 4 black men are diagnosed with prostate cancer. So when I read that, I thought, you know what, let me go and make an appointment to come back and do this test, right? Got to this reception, said to the lady in the reception, I said, you know, I want to make an appointment to come back and do this test. She said, Mr. Mckellar, you don't need an appointment. It's a simple blood test, takes less than 10 minutes, right? Had the blood test. I didn't even think no more about it. I sat back down, waited to see the doctor about the snoring, right? When when I got home in the evening, the wife was cooking dinner at the time, and I just turned to her and I said, yeah, while I was waiting to see the doctor, I did a simple blood test, right, for the prostate cancer. And she stopped cooking and she looked at me hard. And you know, when these women are about to have an argument with you, they look at you stern, right? So, and she turned to me and she said to me, what's that got to do with your snoring? So, you know, luckily the answer that I gave her was one that she accepted because I got my dinner that night. And, you know, so a week after that, I get a phone call. Could I come back and do another blood test? So I did that. 1 week after that second blood test, the doctor phoned me up. He said, Mr. Mckellar, is it possible that you could come in, right, to do a biopsy? So I said, well, when do you want me to do this? He said, well, we've made the appointment for you to come in this morning to do this biopsy. I said, okay. So I put the phone down.
What is a biopsy, by the way, a biopsy?
Well, let me tell you the story about this word biopsy now, right? I put the phone down. I phoned up the wife. I said to her, listen, they just phoned me up and the doctor wants me to go to the hospital to have a biopsy. And she said, when do they want you to do that? And I said, well, they made the appointment this morning, so they want me to go now. So I'm going to leave the garage and go. And she said, okay, well, you know, don't worry, don't drive, right? Get a cab and I'll meet you at the hospital. So just before I put the phone in, I said, by the way, right, what's a biopsy? And you know, this is why women are very clever. You know, she turned to me and she said, no, nothing. It's just a routine checkup, right? Don't worry yourself. I'll see you at the hospital. We get to the hospital and I'm glad she never told me what it was because I wouldn't have turned up, if I'm honest, right? And all I'm saying to men, right, is what's important about having these things, right, is women have to go through far worse than us men having this biopsy. So I had the biopsy. A week after the biopsy, they called me to come in and have a scan, right? I had the scan. 4 days after the scan, they called me and my wife in to see the doctor. We sat down in the room. The doctor said, Mr. Mckellar, your prostate is covered in cancer. Ooh. Well, I got up and I walked out of the room because I thought, this man cannot be talking to me, right? And I went and I came out of the building, I went and I sat in my car. And to this day, and I still don't have the right answer for it, I don't know whether I was scared or whether I was frightened or both. I just burst into tears. And I looked up in the sky and I said, what do I do now? Because I just felt helpless. I felt lost. I didn't know what I was going to do next. And, you know, my wife, she came in and she sat in the car with me, and I felt I was crying for ages, right? And she just turned to me and she said, listen, she said, all the years that I've been with you, I've never seen you quit on anything that you've ever done. And I stopped crying, and I had to look at her and I said, well, hold on a minute. Is this, are you having a go at me, or is this your way of motivating me, right? So I took the latter, like us men do, right? I took the latter and I listened to her and I said, okay. We went back in to see the doctor, right? And I said to the doctor, right, what do I need to do to deal with this problem? And the doctor said, listen, Mr. Mckellar, if we don't remove your prostate, you could be dead in 6 months. That's what he said. So I said, doctor, right, let's do it. Let's, you know, if that's what it means I need to do, let's do it.
Right.
Turned to me and he said, Mr. Mckellar, there are some issues you're going to have to come to terms with, right? There's some things that you're going to have to deal with, right? Some side effects, right? I said, doctor, if I've got a chance of staying alive, I'll take that.
Right.
Anyway, I had the operation, right, to move the situation on. You know, when I finished the operation, I still had 1.5% cancer left in my body, right?
Wow.
So I had to have 3 months of radiotherapy to get rid of the rest of the cancer. Now, during that period,
radiotherapy, not chemotherapy.
No, radiotherapy. Radiotherapy is just as bad. They're just as bad as each other. And Donna will tell you that, you know, none of them is better than any, right?
Okay.
You know, and if I knew then what I knew now, my decisions would be different.
Right.
And that's why I preach and push what Donna's doing, because you know, when you don't know how to fix your car, you go and pay big money to get it fixed. Right. So anything I tell you will be in a mechanical term, because that's what I know best. Right. So, as I said, I was out of work for nearly 6 months, and I sat down with my wife and I kept saying to her, I said, listen, I think I'm very lucky. I think God must have kept me alive for a reason, because, you know, for the amount of cancer that they're telling me that I have, right, I shouldn't be here. Right. And she turned to me and she said to me, she said, listen, she said, this cancer only knocked you down. It didn't knock you out, right? You're going to beat this, but what you're going to do, you're going to take everybody in the ring with you and you're going to go to 12 rounds with it, right? Right. So I went back to work after the 6 months of being out of work. The first day I was in my garage in Hackney, right? A man walked into the garage and we got talking, and he said, well, I'm really glad to see you back in the garage, and, you know, rare. I said, okay. And, you know, I looked at him, and to this day again, I don't know why I turned and I said it to him. I said, by the way, I said, you know, have you thought about having your prostate checked? And the conversation went from pleasant to, he looked at me hard and he said to me, what the bleep has that got to do with my gearbox not working? Right? So again, I looked at him, because he was giving me this hard look, you know, like you're weird, yeah. That's the way I approached him about this prostate check. And you know, I looked at him and I said to him, listen, I'm going to give you 20% discount on the work I'm going to do on your car if you go and get your prostate checked. Well, 2 weeks later, he come back to pick up his car. He said, oh, I took your advice, and he was waving this piece of paper in his hand. And he must have realized when he said it to me, because I looked up in the sky and I said, Jesus Christ, man, that just cost me £200, right? Wow, yeah. Yeah, and he must have seen that look, because he looked at me and he said, listen, don't worry about the money. And I looked up there again and I said, thank God for that. Right. You know? He said, but I think you better read this letter. And when I read his letter, right, it brought tears to my eyes. This man had 25% cancer in his prostate. He was the first of 48 guys that walked into that garage in Hackney that was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I'll tell you what was frightening about that. 28 of them were Afro-Caribbean men. Right. 2 of them are no longer here to tell this story. One was 42 years of age, right? When he found out, after coming into the garage to have some work done on his car, he lasted 10 months. Rotted. The next guy that came into my garage, right, was 36 years of age. Bloody hell. And let me tell you the sad thing about him. He walked into my garage and the man looked half dead. Oh, he looked dead? Yeah, he looked like he could hardly stand up, right?
What are the symptoms?
Right, let me tell you, right, I had said to him, because I was saying it to people every day, right, because my target was to sell 100 people a day to go and get your prostate check, right? I said to him, have you ever had a prostate check? And what he said to me will stay with me for the rest of my life. He said to me, I can't go through that, right? My 2 brothers have had prostate cancer. My dad had prostate cancer. My uncle has had prostate cancer.
So
I had to ask him to repeat what he said because I thought I was dreaming, right? I said to him when he said it to me, I said, all right, leave your car here. I put him in my car and I went straight to Homerton Hospital with him because of the campaign I was doing. They were checking people straight away, and particularly Afro-Caribbean men. Right. Now, to move the story on, right, at this present time, there is over 47,000 men a year that are diagnosed with prostate cancer, right? In this country. 11,000 of those men are going to die of prostate cancer, right? 1 in 8 European men are suffering it. 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbean men are suffering. And if it's in your family, it's even worse, right? And the critical problem with that is unless the family are talking about it, right, then the next generation don't know about it. My dad, I sat down with my dad and told him that I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he turned around to me and said, son, I had that 5 years ago.
And he never told you?
No, and I was so vexed with him, I couldn't talk to him for 6 months. But when I started doing this campaign, I realized it was very, very common. And particularly with our Afro-Caribbean people, right, we don't talk about these things, you know? I mean, and I'm going to keep going back to the work that Donna's doing because I'm proud of her, because what she has done, right, is when in the mechanical terms, right, you have people that we call technicians, right? That's what we call them because they do this, what we call specialist jobs. They don't, like when you turn up, right, they don't just farm you off to somewhere else because they can't fix your problem, right? When somebody phones me up now and they say to me, look, you know, I've had a problem with my prostate cancer. The reason that I give them Donna's details is because, right, she will analyze what the issues are one-to-one and break it down with these people. When you're going to doctor,
you know what? I'm overwhelmed, Errol. I know that you and I got a lot of love for each other, but you know what? This is something that we need to spread the love. And I'm so proud of you. When, you know, I'm sorry, I know I'm taking over your time, but I'm just saying that when they said that we could talk about ourselves or talk about somebody, you know what I said? I wanted to talk about you.
Well,
and they said, no, you're going to talk about you.
You know what?
So the love is real.
You know what? I couldn't do this campaign, right? Right. There's a man in the profile there, right? Mr. Jemmy, right?
Yeah.
And listen, my big supporter, right? In football terms, we call him the midfield general, right? His team need him at the moment, so I might not be able to get him to sign up for that. But you know, listen. And he has a wonderful lady named Donna.
Oh,
right?
did you see?
Not me.
Dion. Did you?
You're trying to get me in trouble with him. Oh, you got your wig on, girl. You go, girl.
Oh, I love your wig, D.
The other important thing that people need to realize, I have never known so many men that do not have a life insurance of any shape or form, right?
Guilty.
That is how frightening this thing is. So we have the tools, we have the people who can help us, right, to get this message out there, right?
So what's the symptoms?
Right, well, let me tell you what my symptoms were, because the symptoms are not the same
for
everyone, right? And Donna will tell you, it's not, you know, 10 different symptoms, right? You get up 3-4 times a night, you're going to the toilet, but you're not empty. Your bladder's still full, right? And you're dripping like a tap. You got your lower back pains, lower abdominal pains, right? And
you pee, but you don't empty.
No, it's coming out, but it's coming out like a tap. It's dripping.
Oh, trickle.
Drip.
Yeah. It's you know. And what's happening is, right, that down there in where the computer is, because that's the area that we're calling the computer.
Right.
Now, what men are worried about is the same problem that you see me having when I was trying to turn on this computer. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And that's what men are that's why they don't want to do nothing, because men would rather die through fear and ignorance and sit down and spend half an hour talking to Donna, right? Or half an hour talking to Dion about their life and what needs to be protected, right? These are the kind of positive conversation. When you go to your doctor, right? Remember, your doctor gets paid by NHS to see you, so he's not doing you no favors.
That's right.
Well, let's just have a quick look, because there's a couple of men in the building.
Yes.
Myself being one of them.
Yeah.
So if we just were to ask the question.
Yeah.
Guys, who's been tested or not tested?
Great question.
And the other thing I'd like to know, Errol, is for us who suffer with breast cancer as one of our main contributors to cancer, we've got regular tests that we can do, self-tests that we could do. So is there self-tests for men that they can do before symptoms come along, or is it the blood test that's the most accurate? Because the testing has changed over the years as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, the testing
from when you were first diagnosed, I think it was the most uncomfortable testing compared to now.
Right, my dear. The testing has got better, right? But it's nowhere near, right? It's nowhere near 100% yet. You know? And the thing is, right, is that we, and I'm going to say we now as Afro-Caribbean people, right? You can't keep telling us that we're high risk for this, high risk for that, high risk for this, and we're not doing nothing about it.
Right.
Right. So what I'm saying is, right, is that, you know, and when I went to 10 Downing Street, they invited me there 3 times, and they could have saved it all and done it in one conversation, but they invited me there 3 times. They're saying to me, right, you know, the reason why men are at high risk is because they don't want to talk about the issues that they've got. Men do want to talk about it, right? But it's understanding and who to go and talk to, because you will go to your GP and the GP will look at you and he will say, look, you know, you're fine, you don't need that. He doesn't know your history, he doesn't know your family background.
Right, right.
What gives him the right to look at you, right? When I sit down in front of these 280 doctors and urologists, and they're telling me they're not happy about me telling people to MOT themselves. I'm saying to them,
they said that they're not happy with what you're doing.
They're not happy with me telling people to be tested every year.
And what's wrong with being tested every year?
Exactly. Well, the question I ask them when they say that to me is, you drive a car which you have to MOT, tax and insure every year, right? And you come to me because that's my job. And they say yes. So I said, so what's the difference with when I have the same problem with my body and I come to you, you're sending me away. I've got a warning light on my dashboard, right? That's my body telling me something's wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between them. See, they look at somebody like Donna now as a fear factor, because pharmaceutical companies, right, can't make millions and millions of pounds.
That's right.
So you found, wait. You found that the doctor has looked at you negatively because you're sending people.
Some. Let me. Some of the doctors, right, have come to me with this negative approach. But the thing is, I'm bringing them facts. That's the difference. I'm bringing
NHS doctors. What kind of doctors are coming to you like that?
No, they're all NHS doctors. They're all those doctors, right? If they're not NHS, they're private, but they're all under the one belt, right? The problem is that they're individual people. Just because they work for the NHS, right, doesn't mean that they know the answer to every single thing,
right?
Because there's still a lot of research work going on, right? Me and Donna.
Why would they be opposed to a test then? Huh? Why would they be opposed to a test? Doesn't make no sense.
Because they're not making money for that one.
They're not, exactly.
They're not making money for that one. The younger you send them in, I've got people that I send in, right? And they get, and I'm talking about young men, because I think that men should be checked from 25. Yeah, personally, from 25. But what they do is, and you're saying that, and men have come back to me and said, look, they turned me away, so there's no reason. They want you to have symptoms. Are you peeing? Are you having backache? If you don't have any of these symptoms, they don't want to know. So you have to send them to lie and say, yeah, you're having these problems.
When you
just to get tested.
Just to get tested.
Right? When you go to
also, you have to tell them that it's in your family.
Yes.
In your family.
Yes.
Because I get tested every year and I have to argue with my GP every year.
So
to
hold
get
on,
the test.
because this is an important part of the conversation.
Yes.
You can't just go and get tested.
No.
You have to have a determination.
The GP will tell you, oh, you're too young.
No, listen, when you go to your doctor, right, you've got, it's like a car crash. You've got to tell the doctor that you got no brakes on your car.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't tell him that you got the warning light on your dashboard because he's not interested. You got to tell him that you're almost running people over, right? In mechanical terms, that's what you got to tell him.
Let's talk in real terms. You're telling that you can't pee, or you're having trouble peeing.
No, you have to lie.
Of the symptoms.
Champs, let me tell you something, right? We're all grown-up people, so I can...
Yeah.
So we talk the things, the things.
I want to talk the thing now. Listen to what I want to tell you, right? Below my belly button, between my belly button and my kneecap, I have 22% feeling in that area, right? 22. I'm giving it to you exact.
Yeah.
People do for mechanical machine. That's what it's read.
Yeah.
Right?
They can measure the efficiency of the situation down there.
Listen. They can tell me that my car can only drive at 22 miles an hour, right? That's what they can. That's what they tell me. So I'm not no sports car. I'm not no Ferrari anymore, right? But why it's important for us to push this case and push this issue, right? Because what I want to do, right? What I'm planning to do is I'm planning to bring out a mobile testing vehicle, because let me tell you why.
To get more men tested.
Yeah, because I'm saying, particularly with this COVID issue going on here now, right? There is nearly 80% of men who are not going to their doctors or the hospital.
Mm.
Right?
Of course, because we're healthy. Listen, by the way, my friend...
Not because they're healthy, not because they're healthy.
Because they think they're healthy.
Yeah. So what I'm saying now is if these men are not going to the doctors, we have to go to them.
Of course.
Yeah.
But there's a
And I think it comes down to what you were saying earlier, Joe, and I think you need to recognize that for yourself.
Yeah.
When you said you don't go because you've lost confidence in them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mixture of I think it's just a mixture of us not going because they don't want to. It's just not something that they do. But Errol, if it is hereditary, is testing mandatory for your GP to do if you're a young man, 25, etc.? I don't think that's the same for if breast cancer is in my family, my maternal link.
Yeah, let me answer that question, right? When you go to your doctor, whether it's mandatory or not, right, the doctor has already made up his mind when he looks at you what he wants to do from what he don't want to do.
Yeah, right? This is why
I think the GPs have got a budget as well, so they're limited to their own budget.
Listen. They might have a budget, fair enough, right? But we pay into that system.
Of course.
We all pay into that system.
Right.
So let's not get deluded by the fact that they've got a budget. When you go to your doctor, you don't put your hand in your pocket and take out no money, because the doctors get £485 for each patient that's on his book. Right? This is their conversation. This is what they've told me. So it's not a number that.
No, what you're saying is true.
Right. So listen, there's 6-8 of us here. So you add that money up, right? Each one of us, right? If we don't go to that doctor, he's not phoning you people up and say, "Hey, what, Mr. Simpson? Right, I've got £485 sitting on my table. You ain't coming. Let's come in and let me and you split this money." He ain't saying that to none of us, right? Yet, when you go in there and you say to him, "Well, listen, I've been to a specialist, right? I've gone to a lady called Donna Spence. Oh no. We don't believe in this third-rate this and third-rate that.
It's quackery. That's their words. It's quackery. That's their words.
Right? So when they said to me, right, Mr. Mckellar, you know what? We're very proud of what you've done, because you have, your campaign has saved over 1 million lives. I said, whoa, hold on a minute. Right? I said, the campaign that we, the people, have done has saved 1 million lives. Because this ain't no movie, Right? I'm not Arsenal, Arsenal, whatever, them superhero man that you see shoot up 1 million people and you don't get scratched. That's not me, right?
You said 1 million. Your bio says 1,000.
No, it's 1 million people they tell me that we've saved.
Oh, it's 1 million. All right.
That's why they're giving. Listen, the fact is, right? It's us who have saved those people.
Together, right?
Us who have saved those people. One man don't save, right, that amount of people. It's us who save those people.
I was in America for a while, and they encourage black men to come forward. It's a regular conversation. They have it on the television, on the radio station, regular conversation. When I come back here, you do not hear about it. In fact, when Jemmy brought it up, that was the first I heard of it in any meaningful way.
Yeah, but remember what I said though: money in the disease, not the cure.
Yeah, Jemmy's been campaigning on this long time. Long. Listen, Jemmy and Dion have been on this campaign with me a long time.
And then also what you said, when you go to the doctor, if the doctor said to me, before hearing this conversation, if the doctor said to me, no, Joe, you're fine, you don't really need to, I would probably walk away and say, well, I must.
And most men do.
Exactly.
And most men do.
And most men, listen,
they do.
Let me tell you something. When in my garage, right, I asked 100 of my lady customers who come in, right, I said, how many of you girls go to your doctor in a year, right? 89 out of 100 go to their doctor in 1 year. I asked the same to my male customers, right? And you know how many of them? One man out of 100. And he only went to his wife, he only went to his doctor because his wife refused to give him the ackee and saltfish until he went back.
So, but Errol, what is your, because I've got male friends who just won't. So what is your tip to encourage them? Right. What would you say? How can we encourage?
Right. Follow this journey with me, right, on the Errol Mckellar Foundation. The reason why this is set up is because we are championing the kind of work that Donna and the good people out there, because there's a handful of people, and I say a handful, right, because, listen, every week I get somebody send me this cure for this cure and this cure, right? I've got men who tell me they can fix my prostate. I said, well, how are you going to fix something I ain't got?
Right.
How are you going to fix something I ain't got?
Right? Hold on, one little thing here, because time's running short. So when you got diagnosed, they said 6 months, If you could go back, right, and you got the same diagnosis, would you go doctor or Donna?
I'm not even answering that question because the doctor wouldn't come in the equation, full stop. I would have gone and sat down, even if I went and sat down with Donna, right, and had the conversation with her, at least I would have had a choice.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, and why I am championing the work that she's done, right, is because, listen, I refer people to her who have come back to me, right? They've come back to me. Some have had the cancer.
No, this is an important question. Why I've asked the question, because if they say you got 6 months to live, right, more or less, right?
Well, my cancer had already traveled outside of the womb.
Oh, shit. So so in your mind, anything that doctor tells you, you're gonna do it.
Yeah, but
you told me I got 6 months to live, Joe. I got to cut this thing off.
If we go back,
like, boy, talking to missus, this thing might have to go.
What Donna was saying, right? Listen, we go back to the beginning of this conversation, and that's why I'm glad that she's here today, because having this conversation, right? When I was having this conversation, it wasn't a choice. This man looked at me eyeball to eyeball, and he said, "Listen, Errol, right? If we don't remove," he didn't give me. There wasn't an option because there wasn't one available.
Right.
That wasn't an option available.
But that's a scary thing, isn't it, for a man? They're gonna chop it off, and like, there's no option.
No, but they're not chopping it off.
They're not chopping it off.
You got to you, it seems that way, and I understand.
Hold on.
They took the fuse out of my plug.
But I haven't been tested. I'm gonna be honest. I can't
put my fuse back in it.
Yeah.
Can I say why that? Can I just, sorry, I know you want to say something. They take out, there's never a disease that cuts a man's penis off. It's always a woman. They take out our womb. And the reason for that is there's many male surgeons. Male surgeons don't know how to deal with women, but with a man, he's not going to cut it off. He'll find a way around it. He's not going to cut off. And that comes from male doctors, Dr. Hoyt, Stephen Hoyt. I've had it from all of those doctors.
When I say cut it off, I don't mean...
I know what you meant. because that's how drastic it feels to men, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But he's not cutting it off.
Well, that's what I was reading, this point over here, and I'm like, does it work thereafter?
I'm not a man. I can tell you certain things, but Errol, you have to take that one because I'm not a man.
Yeah. Listen. The thing is, right, in life, you have to make the best of what you have. Just because your fuse has been removed doesn't mean you can't turn the lights on.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And I've heard women say that their partner is actually much more loving now that that's been removed, because now, you know, when you got this, as we said with the Tings, when you're walking around with the great thing God gave you, sometimes you forget to connect emotionally.
Exactly.
But now when this is not there, now you really got to know. Now, I'm not saying it's right, and I know sometimes us women, because I know even with Cancer Don't Let It Win, sometimes I will say things as a woman, and I have to step back because I'm not a man. And I know as a woman, I know...
And I think you've also got to put it in perspective, Joe, that it's either losing a breast for women, or both breasts, or losing your prostate, or dying.
Yeah.
And most women rather die than take
asking the question.
Yeah.
And also, the man said he's not a sports car, but he still can do 22 miles an hour. So sometimes we have to pick
he's not,
nonsense.
And probably much more lovingly too.
Yeah. And I've got to tell you, I have to tell you guys, listen, the fact is, right, is that when a man is diagnosed with prostate cancer, it's not just him that's affected. The ones who are close to him, his immediate, his family, his immediate people, it affects them because, listen, it is life-changing. It is life. Let's not forget that. And that's why, right, I'm not telling people that they must take what Donna gives them. What I'm saying to them is go and have a talk with Donna, right? Because when you have an opinion to match the one that the medical, listen, the medical people are no different to me as a mechanic, right?
Correct.
If I want something for your car, I'll go in the shop and buy it, right? And that's the difference between those people that supply me the parts and the message that Donna's putting across. What Donna's saying is, listen, right? We will take your engine apart and we will attempt to rebuild it based on the information that we have. So it's in the talking.
So therefore, with Donna, the things wouldn't cut off. She will find a way naturally to repair it.
But she would give you an option. She would
at least give you an
option. I didn't have
my point is, either way, it's still scary because you got 6 months, isn't it? So
but I didn't have the point. Let me tell you what's important about that conversation. I didn't have 6 months. The man stood in front of me and said to me that I could be dead within 6 months. So as far as I'm concerned, because when you're diagnosed with that, from the minute you're diagnosed, you're at high risk.
Clock's ticking.
Yeah, right. But you're high risk because this man has told you that. So that's now embedded in your head. Right. So that's why I'm saying to people, look, something as critical and as important as this is important for you to have a second opinion. Right. Have a second opinion. You deserve to have a second opinion. Do not think that the minute that is said to you, you're on your own and you've got no one to talk to. This charity is to raise the awareness of what's important out there, to answer the questions, right? If I don't have the answers, I can refer somebody to Donna who has got the answers. I can refer somebody, right, to Dion who can talk to them about insurance and protecting their life. Because listen, the amount of men that last year I done 12 funerals for prostate cancer. 12. This year I done 3, and I've lost 6 people during this pandemic madness.
Joseph, so excuse me.
So let me just read a couple of comments for you. Let me read a couple of.
One sec, Joseph. Joseph, please. Joseph, can you put a poll up for me, please? That how many people have life insurance, please?
No, I can't do it. We have to prepare polls in advance. We'd have had to do that earlier.
Well, I think it's important to do that.
Well, life insurance. Just by a show of hands, how many people do have life insurance? Right. So.
I don't agree with them. So
there's a few people. And by the way, we do have Chloe Wallace, life insurance specialist, is a sponsor of the show. So for those of you who haven't, be sure to take her number. Errol, let me just read a couple of the things here. I nearly called
Before you say anything, champ, can I just say? Sorry, can I just say?
Read some of the comments for Errol. So Errol, Jacqueline says, "This is so sad. Keep up the good work, Errol." Loy Malcolm says, "Hi Errol. A year ago, heard your testimony in barbershop in Neasden. Keep up the good work, and Donna for sharing health issues."
Pleasure.
Kathy says, "Fichtersville." I think Fichtersville. She probably means fibroids, no? Like that textbook. All doctors are like that. And Liz Harvey said, "Girls should be tested for cervical cancer sooner than 25." Kathy says, "Excellent," and it goes on and on and on. This is awesome. This needs to be widespread nationally. Right, go on now.
Sorry, can I just say, so the way of, I know we was all saying that, you know, well, the 6 months and the panic. Well, the whole point is what you're supposed to do is see a naturopath, not just, not me, not just somebody. You see a naturopath, you're supposed to have a live blood test for a year. They're about £200. You have a live blood test and it can detect, not that it will, but it can detect you for 222 things. It means you're 10 years ahead of time. So that 6 months thing doesn't happen. If every 30 days you get brand new cells, you think about when you go to the GP. You go to the GP, you have an appointment, and then you have to wait. Then you say, "Can I have an X-ray?" They said, "No, I'll take this antibiotic." So now, by the time you get this X-ray to see anything, it's now probably about 3 months. So you're now talking about 90 days. The illness is kicked in. Yeah, whatever it was that could have been reversed is now kicked in. So this is why I say to people, don't waste, go to your GP. You need to go to your GP, check whatever you need to, but then you need to go see a naturopath. You then call me or whatever naturopath you need to call and you ask, you want a live blood test, not the blood that you send off for. You're not supposed to send off for your blood. You sit with your blood and you have a look at it. I will personally tell you on record, there's not a lot of great people in London that do live blood tests.
Okay, now that's valuable information. A live blood test.
A live blood test.
Well, the other one must be a dead one then, isn't it?
Yes. Right. When you go to the doctors for your blood test, it's dead blood because every 30 days you get brand new cells. So if they're sending off your blood,
so it's not accurate. It's not accurate.
Exactly. When you sit with your blood as a live blood, you're sitting with your blood on a screen. They can tell you, here's your red cells. You haven't got enough oxygen. When I first started having live blood, I had hardly any red cells. I had hardly any oxygen. I was breathing like, I couldn't breathe really.
Right.
Yeah. And then they start to develop as you take your supplements and what you do. So it's very important. Once you start having the live blood, once you start getting the right information, you are now in control of your health.
Now this applies,
therefore we don't have to get to this part.
Our time's running short, so we have the Errol Mckellar Foundation.com to find out more about prostate. Donna, did you put your information in there?
I did put my information in there. Hopefully everybody's got it.
Because somebody else is asking, can you leave your details, please?
I have put it in. I have put it in there. If not, I'll message you if I've done it right. I did put it in the chat room, in the group chat.
Yeah, and then
I did put it in, Donna, but the new people that just joined won't have got that message.
Add it again by all means.
No problem.
Please remember.
So I put in Errol's details in the chat.
Yeah, please remember what's important from today, right? And what people must realize is that, listen, there is good, honest advice out there, right?
Where you have to look.
The reason why the Errol Mckellar Foundation is there is because we've got questions that need to be answered. They're telling me and you, right, that if you're Afro-Caribbean and you've got this history in your family, you should be checked at 45. Now, how can they justify that to me when I've got people that are dying before they're 40?
Right.
So, exactly.
So when they tell me to come to 10 Downing Street and I'm bringing them this evidence, they're saying, well, you know, it's going to cost this amount of money or this amount of money to have a test every year. I said, listen, it costs you more money if this cancer is left in somebody's body longer than it should be. Right. So the two don't weigh out. It doesn't balance out, right? That's my argument.
They're looking at the monetary aspect of it.
Yeah, and we've got to change it.
Well, they need 100,000 people to die each year to keep their health quota.
Yeah. You know,
so it's not in their interest to make you well. Cancer research, how much research do you want to do? And you haven't got nowhere yet.
It's a money maker.
It's a money maker worldwide. How comes the royal family ain't dead yet from cancer? How comes none of them ain't dead?
Yeah,
this conversation is not had.
We have to have a collective positive voice, right?
Yes.
And listen, the NHS have given me an award, right? The government have given me an award. The Queen has given me an award. So now I'm saying, okay, all of these people have honored what we have done. Now you need to listen and do something about what we're doing. Not just listen and not do it. Listen and do something about it, because we are going to go back to 10 Downing Street, but it won't be me going by myself. It will be all of us going there with a presentation, and we're saying, look, MOT yourself, right? That's what we need, right?
Well,
I think that's a really good point to finish on, Errol.
Thank you.
That we need to be more in control of what we're doing.
Yes.
So thank you both so much. It's been an enlightening evening. All their details are in the chat room.
It is.
So please get in touch. Please encourage and support. And I'm going to hand you over to Jemmy, who's got something to share with us.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
so
Gems.
Once again, on behalf of Shamps and Giggles, we want to say thank you to the lovely, gorgeous Donna Spence.
Thank you for having me.
And the Honourable Gentleman, Sir Errol Mckellar. Thank you guys both for your time.
I hope you're looking at it, 16 packs, you know. Okay.
Turn to the side.
Don't even go there, Jim.
That's when you know, right?
Yes, you know that.
I never said nothing, Errol.
We'll be looking up, and we are going to continue the evening of entertainment.
Joseph.
This time forward.
Joseph.
Domino.
Hold your horses 1 minute. Just listen. I've got something I'd like to read, please. Is that okay?
Yes.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Prostate cancer. It's a little poem. It's called Get It Checked. Black men, did you wake up magnificent today? Did you wake up feeling great? So why every day do you go about your business while tempting fate? I wonder how many of you are brave enough to check your prostate. Are you scared or worried? Does it put your ego in a state of shock? Get it checked. Now, there are stories and myths. However, some of the real facts are this. The first step would only need to be a simple blood test. PSA test. This stands for prostate specific antigen. This is needed to help the lab determine if there is a problem and the nature of it. This is real understanding for sure. In the black community, prostate cancer is affecting 1 in 4. Get it checked. Now, the facts also say there is no normal or abnormal levels of PSA in the blood, and most doctors consider levels of 4.0 nanograms or PSA per millimeter of blood. Please do it without delay. Action speaks louder than words or thoughts. Act today. Get it checked. I was with a man the other day, and this is what he had to say. If you was driving a car right now and all the check engine lights was flashing, logically, it would be to your mechanic you would be dashing. To get it checked out, to know whether your car was roadworthy, get it checked. We are more than ready to get that MOT cert. A blood test does not really hurt. So why, when it comes time to MOT you, do you make excuses that only really tempt your own fate? All this talk about friends, pals, and brethren and mates, if you really cared about these people, get it checked. You know, your prostate. You will not have to pull a sword out of a stone. That little injection will not even be enough to make you moan and groan. Get it checked. There is most definitely life after prostate cancer, and everybody knows someone affected by this. However, most will not act until it comes real close. At the news of the death of a dear friend, or when your own body is now the host. This affects you, me, our community. We must spread this message and show unity. We need to implant seeds in the youngsters so it becomes normal practice. We must dispel the myths and promote the facts. Let's share this message via all forms of social media. Let this message be a brain feeder instead of a mind bender. Get it checked. I did say there is life And of course, I have living evidence. I think you all guys know this chap, a gentle fella. He's a grease monkey. Yep, I'm talking about Errol Mckellar. Snoring, a concerned wife, a visit to the doctors, a leaflet on the shelf was how this man protected himself. Now, some of you encountered problems with GP saying like, you're too young. Sadly, some of you are willing to accept this and go down to the pub and have fun. Now, when the GP says this, don't accept it. Not a bar, not a bite. To have this simple injection, test is your simple right. Get it checked. Now, you cannot do it tonight. However, you can make those steps tomorrow in the light of day. I have one wish and hope and one pray, that prostate cancer never comes to you to stay. And on that note, I have one more thing to say. Get it checked.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Thank you, Jemmy. Thank you,
Thanks to the point.
Thank you,
Well done.
Errol.
Thanks,
And
Jimmy.
thank you,
Jimmy.
Donna. Pleasure having
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you so much, Donna and Errol.
Hey,
Fantastic.
Pleasure.
And just
Pleasure.
to
Thank
share
you
the
for having
results
us.
of the poll,
you guys. Really.
just to share the results of the poll of 5 people, because I couldn't put my name in there, but I have not been tested, so that'll change the numbers a bit. But
Yeah, well, I've been tested, so and I couldn't go in there either.
most people have not been tested, and guys, we do need to get it tested. So get that sorted out and possibly save your life.
See how the queen and a joke about that. See them a look as a melanin a pop. Walk on this melanin, show off your melanin. See them a hate cause I know your thing shot. They see your skin and I feel respect that.